At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Here at Town & Country, we are proud to be an American.
We've had you covered on the inside since 2005, and with our addition of Southern Grill and Patio, we now have you covered on the outside. Come see our great selection, where we make sure grilling and relaxing go hand in hand.
Welcome to Trojan Detail.
Hey, I've been hunting. I got my truck filtered. Can you get it?
We surely can. We do work for Bill Jackson Chevrolet and Troy Nissan.
You do work for Bill Jackson Chevrolet?
Yes, we do.
Hey, I got a motorcycle.
We do them as well.
Tori Dunn from Dixie Trails. You get your truck washed here?
I sure do.
Really, Johnson? I know you're not bringing them cow trucks, okay?
I do. They're like me when I leave.
Loretta, what are you doing?
I'm here at Trojan Detail getting my car detailed.
Bring your vehicle with Trojan Detail. We do it all.
Here's some Napa know-how for you. Your local Napa Auto Parts store in Troy is under new ownership with an all-new fully stocked store. Big deal, you say? Big deal, we say. Like the ownership, the store has a new look, too. We're still delivering the same Napa quality and know-how, but we've increased our inventory and are committed to helping you find the parts you need when you need them. So come check us out. We've got the right part at the right price at the right time. Know-how, Napa know.
Life is hectic enough without worrying if your lights will stay on or if there's hot water for your child's bath. So count on natural gas to keep the energy flowing, even when the weather is unpredictable. Natural gas is always there to keep your home warm, showers hot, and food cooked to perfection. That's why America has relied on safe and affordable natural gas for more than 150 years. And we will be here for you and future generations too. You can count on natural gas from Southeast Alabama Gas District.
Come see us at Don Walker Western Wear. From boots, jeans, and jackets to shirts, hats, and belts, we're your headquarters for Western wear for the entire family. With the largest selection of jeans in town, we carry famous brands like Wrangler, Levi, Carhartt, Ariat, and Cinch. We've also got plenty of styles of boots to choose from, including Justin, Lucchese, Ariat, Tony Lama, Red Wing, Dan Post, and Corral. So come on into Don Walker Western Wear, located on Highway 231 in Troy.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
At Pike County Ford, we're starting 2018 with our grand reopening celebration. And it's your chance to save big on America's favorite brands, including 14 grand on new F-150s or the new Fiesta for under 13 grand. I'm Jeremy, the new owner, and this is how serious we are about earning your business. If you bring a deal to us we can't beat, we'll pay you $5 grand. The new Pike County Ford. Come by our grand reopening celebration today and find out why. Pike County is for...
Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. My name's Mike Amos. Hope that you're doing well this morning as we enter a Thursday. Already it's the 14th of June. Soon it'll be the 14th of July, and football practice will be practically started here in Troy, Alabama. Hope everybody's doing well this morning as we head to a U.S. Open week. The U.S. Open starts today, so there's golf on your TV right now, but we want you to watch our show. Guys that are going off this morning, first thing, and gosh, you talk about first thing, I mean first thing. They've got on hole 10 at 5:45. Now, this is ridiculous now. 5:45, they got Scott Stallings of the United States and Sebastian Munoz of Colombia and Matthew Southgate of England. They go off at 5:45. Now, that's Eastern time. Wait a minute, that's Eastern time, though. Gosh. It doesn't really say. But The second group going off, Trey Mullinex of the United States, Matt Paradles of the United States, and the other guy is Jason Shriver of Australia, and they are off and running with the U.S. Open. Is that right?
Morning.
Mike, are they already started? You got them on your screen?
I think it started this morning.
I know it, but 5:45, that's awfully early, isn't it?
Well, Shinnecock's up in New York, so.
Yeah, that's right. So they're off and going, and of course, Eastern time, I reckon they, or Central time, I reckon they went off at 5:45.
Yeah, so far, let's see who's playing. You got Aaron Badley, the Australian, is 1 under after 2. Yeah, you got guys I've already.
Well, there's still so much dew on the greens. It seems like it'd be hard to putt unless they go ahead and they smooth it off. Is that right?
Trey Mullinex, the kid that has been playing really well out of Alabama. He's from Gardendale. He's on the Alabama National Championship team. Well, actually 2 years. He's +4.
Oh no!
Already after 3.
Well, he didn't know how to act this early in the morning. These Alabama kids didn't,
Well, it rained tremendously yesterday, but then it's supposed to be beautiful weather the rest of the week. But a lot of people were saying yesterday that the USGA is going to really make this course as hard as possible because, last year the winning score was 16 under.
Yeah.
When Bruce Koepka won, and I don't think they want a 16 under. I think they want to kind of be around even par.
Well, they always want their the U.S. Open always takes pride in their rough being real high and thick. So they want you to know, the U.S. Open wants you not to want to get in the rough. The U.S. Open wants it to be disastrous if you do. If you hit it in the rough, they want you to get a bogey or a double bogey.
But you got good players already on the course. You got Bubba Watson, you got Brooks Koepka.
Bubba's already out there already. Bubba is.
You got Justin Rose, Ian Poulter. You got some pretty good golfers out there already.
See, I've got right at the 7:15 time, or the 7 o'clock time, Kevin.
Actually, as we're on the air, Mickelson will be going off here at 7:02, which will be.
Is this Eastern time or Central Standard Time, Mike?
They're on Eastern, but it's showing up as 7 o'clock our time.
Exactly. But so that's going on right now. The U.S. Open at Shinnecock. In the hills.
I can't wait to watch it. It's one of my favorite things.
A lot of people don't know anything about the hills of New York, but there are a lot of hills in New York.
Oh yeah, definitely. Heading up northern New York is real mountainous.
Toward West Point, is that right? They say that West Point are the. I reckon you. What time would you say West Point was in, Mike? Would it be West Point, New York? Would it be West Point, New York?
2:40. Yeah, Tiger goes off at 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay, but they say West Point is the smallest Division 1A city in the United States, and Troy is the number 2 smallest Division 1A cities in America. What do you think?
I would have to say that. I've always heard Wake Forest is really small.
Is that right?
Of course, Wake Forest moved from Wake Forest to Winston-Salem's, but Winston-Salem's a lot bigger.
Yeah. It could be late news now, but Troy University has lost their pitching coach, Mike, and he's a good friend of mine, and I sure do hate to see him leave.
Oh, well, they lost Brad?
Yeah, Brad is going to South Alabama, Mike.
Wow.
That's right.
Shocking.
Yeah, and according to going to sleep with the enemy. Going to sleep with the enemy.
Man, he had been at Troy for a long time.
I know
and, of course, he was, a great coach at Charles Henderson High School as well.
No question about it.
That's really sad to hear. That's tough for Coach Smart, I imagine.
Well, and now he's got to find him a pitching coach, and of course, I'm sure there are a lot of them out there, and everything. But I do hate to lose Brad. Of course, he'd been here a long time.
They must have offered him a lot more money.
Well, things like
the West Point, where the Army University is
West Point, New
York. West Point, New York.
Population, does it say?
Let
bunch of soldiers. I know that. And they've been up a long time. Those guys have been up going at it since about 5:30 probably.
Yeah. I'm trying to see population.
Just ask them for the population of West Point, New York. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're doing well
this morning. How did you get on that subject?
I don't know. I just know that somebody said that the other day at a event that I was at, and it surprised me that West Point, New York, is the smallest Division 1A cities in the country. Troy's number 2. And, of course, we're awfully proud that we're on here. Of course, had a great visit yesterday with Bill Rice, Jr., and, boy, he's excited to be back to Troy, and I would, too, if I was married and had a couple of small children, and I'd want to raise them right here in Troy, Alabama, no question about it. Of course, right now, Mike, guess what? Cakes by Joyce is open for cinnamon rolls this morning. Cakes by Joyce has cinnamon rolls this morning, ladies and gentlemen. So go ahead and rush on out and get in line. Get in line.
And they line up in the streets.
Yeah. I need to get the phone number and see what they're doing this morning. I don't have my phone directory handy, but I know it. But somebody told me, well, maybe so. That's right. Today is Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah, so.
Maybe I am wrong. Thank you.
You got everybody cranking up their cars.
I know it. For some reason, I was listening to the radio, and I was thinking that they were talking about cinnamon rolls this morning. And, of course, Cakes by Joyce is wonderful, and so is Sips right down the street. They've got great cinnamon rolls every morning. My cinnamon hole, Mike, my donut hole, I believe, is gone out of business. I believe they shut the door.
On the bypass?
Yeah, and they had good donuts, too. I think they shut the door on the bypass, but everybody's excited about Trojan Zone, Mike. I was talking to some guys the other day. In fact, I was eating out at Preston's, and the topic of wings came up. Of course, Preston's has real good wings, too, and a great steak. Man, I'm telling you, I finished that steak off last night. It was wonderful. And I ate like Robin Hood. I just picked up and just ate like a madman. But
I grill a lot of steaks and pig down here. I mean, off of the river, off Overton Road in Birmingham, where I live, and they have the best cuts of meat I think I've ever had at a grocery store. But I go from fillet to strips and sirloins, and then I had a big bone-in ribeye the other night.
Oh man, you can't beat that.
Bone and man, you're right. Once you pick up that bone.
Well, what it is, the closer to the bone, the more tender it is. The closer to the bone, usually. Yeah. And you're right. That's a big reason.
Troy's basketball staff. I was happy to hear this. Andrew Steele, he was a great player at Alabama. Of course, Ronald Steele, his brother, was an All-American, but he's part of that John Carroll basketball dynasty up here in Birmingham. He got hired as new director of basketball operations at Troy yesterday.
Well, that's great.
So Andrew Steele, of course, he played at Alabama for Anthony Grant, and has been at South Alabama, but was not retained by the new coaching staff. He's the director of basketball operations there.
So they got new coaches at South Alabama. Is that right?
Yeah, some guy that came from Nicholls State. But
Nicholls State.
Yeah, that'll be good to have Andrew Steele on staff. I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
A lot of great relationships with coaches throughout the state.
But now we haven't lost anybody, have we? We still got the same staff, don't we?
Well, they gave Mike Worley a promotion to assistant coach.
Yeah, I'm tickled. Yeah, that opened up that position.
And then Adam Howard, who was on Troy's staff, left to go to South Alabama.
Adam Powers?
Howard was his name.
Okay, so was he a regular member of Troy's staff?
Yeah, he was an assistant on Troy's staff.
Okay, all right. That's where the opening came. Is that right?
Opening came, yeah, for the assistant.
Well, I tell you what, I am tickled pink. Not
Andrew Steele is a really good coach.
I know it. And I'm not clapping because the guy is leaving. He's going to do a good job at South Alabama, but at the same time, Worley is a super guy. I'm telling you. I've dealt with him many times, and he is just a wonderful guy, no question about it.
Well, I mean, that's definitely well-deserved. He's been there since Coach Cunningham's been there. But my God, I mean, is Coach Cunningham coming up on his 7th year.
I know it looks like that. Yeah,
A long time now already.
You know, the Lord works in mysterious ways. You know, Cunningham comes to Troy and brings a great staff with him, and everybody's excited about our basketball program. And then Maestri retires or leaves, and now he's at the big Division I level at Texas A&M. Yeah, and just seems like he's having the time of his life.
Yeah, everybody you talk to, I mean, I work with a guy named Andy Sullivan that knows him real well.
Oh, he knows him real well.
Having a blast.
Sullivans know.
It's really weird. It's really weird to watch games though when you're watching SEC games and see him sitting on the bench right next to Billy Kennedy.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, Billy Kennedy had part.
Not many coaches have the ability to have a coach as one of your assistants to win 500 games.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's a lot of games, man. 500 games.
That's right, no question about it. And of course, Don Maestri, one of the class acts of all time, and boy, what a great guy. And of course, we want to mention
he
the
was a big part of my childhood growing up. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, those Troy basketball games back in the day were so much fun. It was just unbelievable.
I want to mention the messenger today, and I can't find it, Mike. I know I picked it up. And I don't know where it is now, but
well, just like I tell my wife, it's just that time of year now where we just don't have a whole lot to talk about sports-wise. You got the College World Series about to start up.
Yeah, and that'll be fun to watch and see how these
College
teams
World
do.
Series starting up, and then you've got, of course, the U.S. Open this week is great.
We were talking yesterday, and don't get me wrong, Auburn's got a good baseball team, but Troy does too. And Troy split with them during the year. They didn't go have the same pitchers and everything, but Troy, I thought, was equal to Auburn, no question about it. Especially the first.
Auburn was better. I mean, Auburn went on the road and won a regional. NC State, and then the top team in the country they had on the ropes.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but I tell you what, I watched them play twice, and I didn't see much difference in them. I really didn't.
Troy, let's just say this: when Troy went to their regional, their starting pitcher lasted 3 innings, and their other ace starting pitcher lasted 2 innings.
Yeah.
So,
well, the guy was
obviously Auburn has a lot better pitching than Troy does.
The guy was hurt. Well, that's probably true. That's probably true that Auburn had better pitching than Troy. But I tell you, our guy was mowing them down when he went out. He got hurt, and he. I
mean, I'm sure Coach Smart will probably wonder the rest of his life what happened to his starting pitching. You have a guy that comes down with cramps and had cramps all year. Now you're telling me a guy that pitched at Troy University in that heat goes to Athens, Georgia, and can't.
Well, I tell you what, I was there, and it was hot.
I know, but still, I'm just saying that. I mean, I'm sure he's got to be thinking to himself, "How in the world is this happening to me?"
Of course,
but I mean, if you end up having Childers, of course, he came in and saved the day. But if you end up having,
well, let me ask you this: do you think Childers could have got Auburn out?
I don't know.
Childers looked like $1 million when he came in. I think he gave up one hit for the rest of the way.
Before that game, his ERA was in the 5s.
Yeah, but
he hadn't had it really,
well, he hadn't started. They hadn't used him as a starter, but he came in and just shut them down. No question about it. And but now Oglesby being hurt had a lot to do with it. Their second starter was hurt, or at least that's what you told me. What was the deal?
Yeah, I mean, well, Levi Thomas ended up, I guess, becoming the second guy.
And I mean, he looked good. He struck out 10 batters.
But Osby was, they were hoping he was going to go more than 2 innings, but he ended up having some kind of leg injury or something.
Yeah. Against Georgia, this pure freshman out of Coleman struck out 10 Georgia batters before he went out, and I thought he was just outstanding. And he's the guy we got coming back. I don't know. Of course, we lose our pitching coach, so he might know something. You reckon?
Well, I'm sure that was a move where he's trying to maybe become a head coach one day in college. Maybe
no question. He's a great guy, and he gave a lot to Troy. And hey, we know they might have gave him a beach house, Mike. Can't tell.
Yeah.
But I know baseball.
There'll be a lot of guys that want to make that move to the college level. So
I know baseball continues ever since.
Maybe they can tell Derek Irons, maybe we don't want I mean, maybe you could take a break from
well, you know, hey, I tell you who I said they ought to go after is Ponder. Boy, I'd go after Ponder in a second, wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, he's definitely a guy that a lot of people are missing.
You think Ponder could recruit, Mike? Do you think he could recruit young men to come to play for Troy?
I'm sure he could, but, you know, what if Derek Irons wanted to come back and get
I know, he's a great coach, too, but old Ponder is a very good, an outstanding pitcher himself, and is a very good coach. That would tickle me.
Interested to see what he does. You know, he might go to a former player. He might do that.
Well, Tanner Hicks works with me. He's a pretty good former player.
Does he want to get into coaching?
Well, I told him. I said, you never can tell, Tanner. Coach Tanner was an outstanding pitcher and very, very much a student of the game. And you know, if he can recruit, you know, that's the key. Like Coach Saban told a friend of mine not too long ago, was that look, I want to know about this guy, but the most important thing I want to know, this is Saban talking to my friend, can he recruit? We can coach him, but can he recruit?
And how much does he like to play golf? That's probably another thing.
Well, another thing, though, it's a war out there for recruits. Gosh, it's a war. And a lot of them have just committed to Troy recently. But every time you pick up something, the wide receiver at Mississippi State, Reginald Todd, was arrested. This is the biggest question mark.
Well, that's what you're dealing with this time of year. You know, you just got all the off-the-field issues you don't really want to have to deal with.
Mike, the biggest question mark of all time, because Mississippi State was on a roll now until their coach left them and went to Florida. Why? And I hope somebody will tell me, but I'll hope they'll prove it on the field. Why did Mississippi State hire the guy they hired? He was not a head coach, and I don't even know if he's ever been a head coach, has he?
Well, yeah, he was a head coach at Fordham.
At Fordham, downtown Fordham, that's downtown New York. They probably practiced on concrete.
He had really good teams there, and then James Franklin hired him.
At
Penn
State.
I think it was one of those things where he was a guy that was a really good offensive mind, and I think it was just kind of an outside hire, but everybody he talked to in Starkville seems to love him.
Well, you would think, if you would look at it on the outside, how many young coaches that they could have got instead of this guy, you know.
Well, they could definitely got Neil Brown.
Yep, that's right. They sure could. They could have got a pretty good one there, couldn't they?
You know, I think a lot of people were really thinking Norval would have, you know, if the coach from Memphis would have been a big candidate for that job. But he ended up, I think Memphis signed him to like $2.1 million, which is a lot in Memphis.
Yeah, you're right. And
they put him in a big contract there.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, he's a bright young coach, and you know, they know what they're doing, I'm sure. And
coach of Mississippi State is Joe Moorhead.
Yeah, Moorhead. But you would agree with me.
You know, the special teams coach is there. He went and hired Joey Jones.
Did he really?
Yeah, so Joey Jones.
Well, great. I'm glad for Joey. Now, you know Joey personally. He's really quite a guy, isn't he?
My wife knows him a lot more. You know, my wife's from Mountain Brook. You know, he was the head coach back when she was at Mountain Brook when they had all those great teams with Malin Kent and a bunch of other. I think they went to the state championship one year, but yeah, I've hung out with him in New Orleans one time. He was
I knew him when he was coaching at Podora, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that too.
Yeah.
You got to really want to start coaching football when you go to Podora.
Well, that's where he got to start. Where did Larry Blakeney get his start? Do you know?
Walker County High School, I believe.
Nope, you're wrong.
Well, no, he was at Walker County and then he went to the best state.
Yeah. No, he was at a little private school in Greensboro, Alabama, Mike.
Oh, he was at Southern Academy?
Yeah. Let me put you on hold now. Don't jump away. I'm going to try to... This is Max Howell, I think. Hold on a minute. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike. It's Will Matthews.
Will Matthews calling from Ozark this morning. All right, Will, let me put you on hold. I'll get right back with you.
All right.
All right. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I think I got both of you. Will and Mike, is that right? Mike, are you on? Will, are you on?
Yeah, Will's on.
Mike, are you on? I might have lost him. Will Matthews is on, calling in from Ozark this morning.
I am between Dothan and Ozark, headed to work.
Will, I tell you right now, I've met a lot of people. I had people that say, you need to meet this Sonny Reagan. You need to meet this Sonny Reagan. And, boy, when I did, I was very impressed. He is an outstanding person.
Good guy. Really is.
Of course, he's going to be the judge in the 12th Circuit. And, you know, the more I was around him, I could think he might have a political future. What do you think?
He's been involved in politics a long time. I mean, he's Governor Riley's legal advisor, so, you know, but I think once you decide you want to be a circuit judge, you're pretty much.
Well, and the security is there forever. Their retirement, I've looked at it before, their retirement program is about as good as you can get in government.
It used to be better. They've changed it now. It's not near as good as it used to be, but it's still.
But people wonder sometimes, why does he do this and why does he do that? Well, of course, he had a great law practice too, I'm sure. But at the same time, you look at the long run, and it's a pretty good way to live, I would think.
Sure, and he's got young kids, so you know, I've been living on the brink my whole life because if nobody comes in my door, I don't eat. It's a high pressure. My practice is high pressure. If somebody doesn't hire me, I don't eat.
Well, let me just tell you what he had to say about you. He said that you're one of the best lawyers in this part of the country. He said some very nice things about you. I'll tell you that right now. Of course, Will Matthews is on the phone. Will Matthews is not just a golfer. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not just a domino player. When he's not doing those two things, he is practicing law in his offices just off the square in downtown Ozark. Is that right?
That's correct. Been there since 1956. I've been doing it 37 years.
When you hooked on with him on the phone the other day, you could see a chuckle in his eyes. He told me he'd been before you, on the other side of the courthouse from you many times on different cases. Of course, Will Matthews, tell us about the U.S. Open right now. Can you believe they started at 5:45? Is that our time or their time?
They're on Eastern time. They're in New York. But Mike, the field is so big, they've got to do that. They're starting off 10 and 1. And staggering it, and I'm gonna tell you something. There's 156 players in that thing. That's a huge field.
I tell you, I'm looking at Ricky Fowler on this in this paper today. I don't know if they get any better as a person than Ricky Fowler. What do you think?
And he's a good player, and he has not won a major yet. Yeah. I think he's getting close.
Well, I hope so. And, of course, the only thing about him I don't like is some of that ugly stuff he wears. I wear an orange here today, too, I reckon. But I like Ricky Fowler. He's one of the great guys out there.
Yeah.
Of course, Will Matthews on the phone. Will, tell me, though, and I got to get this other line. I'm going to put you on hold. Hold on a second. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Mike, it's Max. How you doing?
Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi this morning. And, Max, I got Will Matthews on the other line. Of course, we're talking about things that have been going on. Of course, golf action already at Shinnecock. And I'm going to put you on hold 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, Will, let me ask you this, Will. Very important. All right, the kid from Alabama, Mullinex, already is 4 over. They hadn't played but 2 or 3 holes. The moisture, the greens this time of morning has got to make it a little bit tougher for those golfers.
No, actually it helps them.
All right, why is that?
Well, if a green's wet, it'll hold better.
Yeah.
The greens are hard as a rock, and I played this course about 30 years ago, Mike. And back when I could play golf, I was back in those days, I was a scratch golfer.
Yeah.
I go out, the front 9, I shoot 2 under par. I'm thinking, this is a piece of cake. There's nothing to this. and then the wind started blowing.
Now these are the mountains of New York, and the mountains of New York are pretty high, aren't they?
No, this is on the island. This
okay.
is on Long Island.
Oh, okay. Is that where this is?
Yeah, it's right next to the water.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was up in the mountains.
I was 2 under after 9, and the last 6 holes, I think I was 8 over on the last 6 holes.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, it was brutal. I mean, when the wind blows, it's hard. Now, these guys are pros, but I'm going to tell you this. You remember this. I told you this. Even par may win the tournament.
Isn't that amazing? I know this, that they take pride in the roughs being real deep. You don't want to hit it in the rough in the U.S. Open, do you?
No, if you hit it in the rough, it's a sand wedge.
Yeah.
All you can do is hit it out, chop it out.
So whoever's accurate and can control the golf ball is going to win this tournament, probably. And be able to putt, of course.
They got to putt and they got to drive.
Yeah. Will, let me bring Max on. I'm going to put you on hold here.
Right,
Will
good.
Matthews, we're going to put you on hold. And then I'm going to put Max on hold. And then, let's see, I'm going to go to the conference call for Max. Are you on, Max? You should be on, aren't you? And we'll put the other one on here. Max, are you on?
I'm right here, Mike.
All right, let me get Will on here, and I'll be ready. All right, got both of you on now? Hello. Who do I have? Hello. Who?
Matthews is on.
Max, are you on? Max?
You having phone trouble this morning.
Well, yeah, it's probably stupidity more than anything. Of course, we're excited about this week, though. This is a time where folks get out of the heat and watch golf instead of play golf. Isn't that right?
And I'm going to tell you, last year Brooks Koepka won the U.S. Open. He tied McIlroy's record.
Yeah.
I think he was 14 under or some ridiculous thing. The USGA doesn't like that, and they're going to make it just as hard as they can make it this year.
So it's going to be a battle. And do you think all the front runners are going to have a shot at it?
I tell you what, Dustin Johnson's going to be there, and I don't know about the rest of them.
He was making it look easy this past weekend. What I mean, wasn't he hitting a 3-iron every time, most of the time?
He was on any hole that was like 450 or 430 or whatever, long holes, he'd hit an iron.
Yeah.
And the ones that were 500 par fours, he did his driver, and he could drive the ball like you've never seen.
Will, something on the personal level, something I wanted to ask you about. I've got a bunch of golf clubs. I have hundreds of golf clubs that I've picked up over the years. And I was going through them this week, and I got a bunch of old clubs. Do you know anybody that buys old clubs that might be interested in these? I probably have 50 putters, Will. Different putters I picked.
Bring them by my office. Let me look at some of them.
Well, what I'm saying, I got them, and I got to do something with them. And my wife wants them out of our garage. I know that.
Golf Plus in Dothan will buy golf clubs.
Really? Well,
yes.
What it is I have collected them over the years, and I've got all kinds of putters now. I have the same putter. Now, this is what my pro told me here in Troy. Tony told me the other day. Was one of the putters I have is the same putter that Jack Nicklaus used to use. Big long putter.
Yeah.
And they said he used it to win the Open or something like that years ago. But
I don't know that one.
well, I don't know what I do with it. I've given away a bunch of these old clubs, and you know, one that a little secret I found. Everybody said, "Oh, those clubs are rusty." You know what I did? I put them in a bucket of Coca-Cola, and it helped get rid of a lot of that rust. Have you ever done that?
Is Smiley Burdette still alive?
Well, Barney is. I don't know Smiley.
Yeah, Barney. I call him Smiley. Barney.
Yeah, okay. You're being facetious, though, by calling him Smiley, though, aren't you?
No, that's his nickname.
Yeah, but now, he doesn't smile much.
I know. That's why they call him Smiley. I used to play golf with
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, he's around. I gave him a set the other day. I gave him a set.
He could tell you what they're worth. Or,
yeah.
He knows golf.
Oh, I know he does.
Anybody I know in the area.
Well, in fact, I gave him back a set of clubs that I bought from him years ago, and I had them around. I said, well, you know what? The guy that would appreciate these more would be Barney. And these were, oh, God, he was named after a former player, and I was trying to think of the clubs they were. But he liked it. He was tickle pink.
I tell you, Barney, back in the day, was a great golfer.
Oh, yeah, I know. No question about it. And has all kinds of knowledge of golf. It's fun to just sit around and listen to him talk about golf. I'll tell you somebody else that's knowledgeable about golf, and especially these golfers around here. Of course, we had the Bill Jackson tournament this past weekend, and it was a super success. But Tony Hudson, do you know Tony, Will?
Oh, yeah, I know Tony real well.
Well, Tony knows golf, too, and knows a lot of the players around here. And, of course, they had the big 4-ball this weekend, had a big Calcutta. They had a great time. They really did. They do that. I reckon it's one of the oldest 4-balls around that just continues to be very successful. And, of course, it's brought to you by Bill Jackson Chevrolet, Dodge Chrysler, not Dodge Chrysler Jeep, but all the Chevrolet products across, of course, with the Buicks and Cadillacs. They've got a great selection to choose from at Bill Jackson. Will, I was waiting on Max getting back on the line, and we lost him evidently. We'll try to get him back as soon as we can. But what's been going on with you? You going to just watch golf, or you going to play any this week?
I'm going to my daughter's for Father's Day. And
now she lives in Biloxi. That's a bad place, Will, for you.
Yeah, she actually lives in Gulfport, which is right next to Biloxi.
Yeah. Will, do you play dice? What do you like to do? Do you like to play the dice, or do you like to play black?
I play the dice is all I play.
Yeah. Do you always play with the dice or against the dice?
I always play with the dice.
I know, but a lot of those people that are throwing that dice have never thrown one in their life, Will, and you're betting on them?
They're the ones that usually have a lucky ruffle.
But I know it, but you see these guys that are really good, and it is great to get on a table with a guy that knows how to throw a dice. But it's amazing how that dice moves for some people. But they've been some of those folks have been throwing dice all their life. You've been throwing dice for a long time.
Long time.
Of course, coming up very soon, ladies and gentlemen, is the Domino World Series Championship in Andalusia, and one of the defending champions of that crown is on the phone with me. His name is Will Matthews. He's a local attorney in Ozark, Alabama. And you know what they ought to do, the city Chamber of Commerce ought to do this, Will, is put a sign outside of town saying, "Welcome to Ozark, home of Domino champions."
We've had more in Ozark than any other town in Alabama by far.
Now, why is that, Will? Is it because y'all play so much, or what?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, you actually, all right, now you play golf, and you've been, you go places and do things. You're as excited about Andalusia as anybody, aren't you? I mean, you're excited about dominoes.
This will be my 41st domino tournament over there.
And
I missed the first two. And last year was my 40th. This year will be my 41st. But I missed the first two.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, everybody said, well, here goes Will on another tandem about what he did and what he did. I can show you the trophies to prove it. Isn't that right, Will?
Oh, certainly. But it's something I do every year, and I enjoy it. Now, last year, I'll tell you how great I am at dominoes, Mike. The first match, I play somebody. He beats me 2 straight games. Okay?
Yeah.
In the singles. The second match in the singles. Guy beats me 2 straight games. I'm out of the tournament. I don't even win a game.
You're out of the tournament, ready to go back to Ozark.
Well, so the next day is doubles. I draw this old man. He was out of the nursing home, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. He had to be. He said he was 89 or 90. Anyway, we lost the first 2 games of that, winning the consolation, lost the next 2 games. I didn't win a game last year. I was 0 for 4 in the tournament.
Yeah.
Did not win a game. That's the first time I'd ever been subjected to
But
that.
now you play a lot of your games though. You play behind the scenes on Fridays and Saturdays, don't you?
Oh yeah, we play constantly.
Yeah.
For 3 days, we'll play outside the tournament. We'll play. Yeah.
Now do y'all have wagers on them usually?
No.
Oh, then y'all just play for the fun of it, don't you? Let me tell you this: I love dominoes, but even if I'm shooting horseshoes, I want a little something on it. I want something to drive me to want to win.
It makes it more interesting.
No question. And of course, Will Matthews knows about as much about dominoes as anybody I know. But you know what? The basic rule of dominoes. Hear this now. Of course, there's a lot of people who have domino tables at the beach and at their farm and at their in their den, in their playroom. There's dominoes everywhere. But Will, if you got the double sixes, what do you do with them?
I get rid of it.
So if you draw a double six, you don't try to score with it. You go ahead and get rid of it.
I try to get rid of it. Yeah, you don't want to be caught with it.
But now, no way anybody's going to lead out with a double 4 and give you a sure 20 points, are they?
No.
Well, there's no way you could really do it. No way you could really do it. But you've seen a lot of dominoes, Will. And then if you wanted to score and not have any kind of anybody coming back behind you and being able to score, what would it be? The 2-3?
2-3 is the only counting domino that doesn't have a repeater on it.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, Will, you'll challenge anybody anywhere, won't you?
Well, I'm not that great a singles domino player, but I'm good at doubles.
Yeah. Well, the problem is with singles, you end up, what do they call it, the dog pound, or what do they call it? The
boneyard.
The boneyard. The boneyard is what gets you in singles. I mean, you're liable to sit there half the day pulling dominoes. And then you know you're in trouble, don't you?
I've drawn every domino before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Out of all the numbers that you could draw, what would you rather draw? The all blanks, all twos, or what?
All 5s. Those are scoring dominoes. If you get all the 5s, you've got something powerful.
So when you get your draw, if you're sitting there with 5s, you could actually block the table if you wanted to, couldn't you?
Certainly, yeah.
And then if you block the table, you might have that 12 left on there with all those points. Is that right?
That's right. You're exactly right.
You know, dominoes is a good educational game, and it's also a good game for older people to let them use their mind more and so forth, wouldn't you say?
Now, did I tell you about my friend that died that I went to Kansas City and spoke at his funeral?
Yeah, I remember you going out there.
Yeah, he had won the tournament before. His name was Robert Newsom. He's 80 years old. And I would play with Robert. On Friday night, they have a partner game where they give away the car and all that. So I would play with Robert for years. Well, and we won it a bunch of times. Well, Robert died. Well, the family asked me to go speak at his funeral. So I flew out to Kansas City, and one of his brothers is a friend of mine. And I go to this church. There's 1,500 blacks in there. I'm the only white in the whole church. Sitting up there with the preacher.
Uh-huh. They thought you was some kind of celebrity, didn't they?
Well, I mean, anyway, but I found out more about him in this funeral. I didn't know that man was a wealthy man.
Yeah. Oh.
And he had 11 brothers and sisters.
Oh, boy.
And he went to Kansas City. He didn't even own a car. And he got in the real estate business selling houses. And then he started making money. And as he started making money, he started his own company. And every 6 months, he'd bring another one of his brothers and sisters up there to work for him.
Yeah.
And eventually, he had like 9 of them working for him.
Exactly.
And he was a multimillionaire when he died.
That's amazing. This guy right here runs Troy University. His name's Dr. Jack Hawkins Jr. And let me ask you something, Will. you're in the Ozark, and of course I know, of course you're a Vanderbilt graduate, but I know you're still a big Troy supporter. Can you believe what this man has done with Troy University?
Troy's a big-time school now.
I mean, can you believe how it has grown? I mean, like they're putting the finishing touches up on their end zone project for their stadium, and now their stadium looks big time to go with it being big time. And this man, and now they're building a huge wellness center, Will. It's going to be one of the state-of-the-art facilities in the country, and they're building it right now. But it's been so much growth and so much construction on our campus. I just had to show you this guy's picture. This guy could have been governor of the state of Alabama, don't you agree, if he wanted to?
He's a great man. I'll tell you something about, in the old days, you remember they called Troy a suitcase college.
Oh, yeah, they sure did.
Kids would go up there during the week, and then they'd go home on the weekend.
That's right, but have a ball during the week now. They had a ball during the week.
But it's changed now. Troy's a big-time school now.
It really is, and it's because they're Division 1A, Will, and Will, you and some of your friends used to say this, that, well, I really don't care about the game unless they got a line on it. You know what I mean? Hey, that's when college sports starts being fun, is when they have a line on it and have a, what's going to happen if that passes about betting on college football? What's going to happen?
I don't think we're going to see it in Alabama.
With legalized, do you think there'll ever be legalized betting in Alabama?
No, it's already in Mississippi. They've already got it.
Really? How does that work? Just anybody can bet whenever they want to, or what?
They passed a law. They could see it coming. The Mississippi legislature passed a law that all the casinos in Mississippi can have sports books.
Yeah.
So it's already. You can go down there and bet on the golf tournament if you want to.
I was wondering, have you ever seen anybody bet on golf?
Yes, I bet on golf.
Really? How do you do it?
I was in Las Vegas one time, and the Masters was going on, and they line up the players that are playing together like pairings, and you can pick either one out and bet on them.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking to Will Matthews. We had Max Howell on the line, and we lost him, and I was trying to put both of them together. And
I'm sorry I missed him.
No, well, I mean, we enjoy you, Will. We enjoy talking to you. Of course, here we come right back here. Thank you, Will, for calling. We'll see you tomorrow here.
All right. See you, babe.
Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Mike, we got to get you.
All right, Will, I got you. I mean, Max, I got you. I was just shutting Will off, and I was going to get right back with you. I'm sorry about that. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing this morning?
Will, we were talking briefly about the growth of Troy University, and I've got a picture of Dr. Jack Hawkins, Jr., that I'm showing here. Of course, he's an articulate guy. He's a handsome guy. He represents our college about as well as you could find anywhere. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I was there when he was hired, if you remember.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Mike, I bet, certainly he's done a remarkable job, and I've made that comment to you several times. The growth of that university is it's almost unparalleled.
It really is.
In this part of the country, I don't think there's any doubt. So I was involved in one of the activities on Tuesday this week. I was in Montgomery with Neil Brown and his staff.
Did you have a good time? I had a situation come up. I couldn't be there, but I was thinking about you.
Well, Judy Morgan.
Coffee. Go ahead.
Judy Morgan told me that they were expecting you to show up.
Yeah.
But, it was a good event, Mike. They had I think they had 40 teams that played.
And it was hot. Did you ride around and watch them a little bit?
Oh yeah. I was there about 9:30 or 10, and I stayed till about 6:30.
Golly.
It was a good event.
Did you go down to Dreamland and eat barbecue with them?
No, and I was waiting on Warren Hedgie and John Ferguson to get through. They finished up last.
Yeah,
I had to visit with them on some other matters. And then the storms came about 6 o'clock.
Oh boy!
I stayed there till about 7, and they were going to close it down at 7:30.
Let me ask you this: Warren's from right here in Troy, and a good friend of mine, and he can hit a golf ball. Can he still hit one like he used to?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. He was out there getting some lessons in between the holes.
Did you ever have to all right, when you were at Troy, you had to coach a bunch of different sports because that's where it was back then. You know, back when I played, of course, Clemson, I always had to teach six classes. But did you ever have to be the golf coach?
I was the golf coach for 2 years.
And won championships, did you?
I put Mike Griffin in the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Got to remember.
That's right. They made y'all do everything. Now, Krill had to coach baseball. He didn't know a darn thing about baseball.
I coach a wrestling team too, by the way.
Oh gosh! Hey, Atkins was going to have none of it, wasn't he? He wasn't about to coach anything else other than football, was he?
And he had his hands full.
He said, Max, you're going to have to go out there with the golf team today. Somebody's got to watch him play. Of course, you didn't have to teach him anything because you had some good golfers on that team.
I recruit. Look, Mike, here's what the way you do. You recruit the good ones. You give them a dozen golf balls, tell them where the course is, and say, I'll pick you up at Friday morning at 9 o'clock.
That's right.
And go to play tournament. And that's what we did.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a true statement. I'm going to give you a true statement, Max, and I think you'll believe it as well as anybody. Golf is a very popular sport out there. I would say 50% of the people out there that ever had anything to do with Troy played their first golf that they ever played in their life at Troy State Teachers College or Troy State College. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely.
I mean, it was the only class I know that you had to take golf for PE. You remember that?
That's right. Oh yeah, and tennis.
Hey, and some of it was a lot of fun. There was some pretty girls had to take golf. Isn't that right, Max?
I taught Johnny Long's wife.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, I can go down the list of the celebrities through my classes.
But you know, a lot of guys, these were country guys, ladies and gentlemen, and they didn't. Everybody wanted a member of the country club. I never was a member of the country club growing up. You know, hey, I thought those folks were rich. You know, they were a member of the country club. You know.
We didn't have a country club.
I know, but what I'm saying, the first golf you ever saw in your life was when you were a student at Troy, probably, wasn't you?
Absolutely, that's very true.
But of course, Troy had a golf course, and now they've broken up that course because of growth. But they still have a beautiful practice.
You fill it up, didn't you?
Yeah, and then Costes became famous, and the reason Costes became famous, of course, he was a world-renowned distance runner, and he also was a great teacher. But he also was known for getting hit by a golf ball. He told me one day, he said, "Man, y'all made me have to start wearing red shorts every day, but so some of you crazy guys will see me when I'm running in front of your golf club."
Listen, he run that golf course 20 times a day.
He thought he owned it. I swear he thought he owned that golf course.
I agree.
And don't get me wrong, I love him and I loved him, and I was one of his good friends. But boy, it used to get me when I'm getting ready to tee, and there that guy in the red, he doesn't even bat an eye. If the ball hit him in the back of the head, I bet he would have batted an eye. Wouldn't you think?
I think so. I tell you, he made such a contribution to that.
Oh, did he?
I mean,
you got as good an education as far as teaching school and coaching football. You got as good an education as you could have gotten in this country.
Anywhere in the world, Mike.
Anywhere in the world. The Hyper program, the HYPER program at Troy was as good as anybody's.
Well, that was Earl Watson put that together.
That's right.
When he was from Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
Came in here and kind of, for us, he kind of talked a little funny.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. Most all of them talked a little funny, you know, from Doc Watson to, he brought in a bunch of Yankees, I would say, wouldn't you say?
They did, but they brought a great educational.
And I'm sure y'all mocked him a little bit. I can see Atkins right now mocking AD, you know, the way he talked. But I mean,
well, we were kind of, Mike, we were kind of a recluse area, if you know.
Yeah.
We were down here to win football games.
Exactly.
It turned that program around, and that's what.
And I'm sure Dr. Watson wanted to continue to run the program the way he wanted to run it, and Atkins wanted to run it. I'm sure they crossed paths quite a few times.
I don't think, and I think I told you the biggest, and this is just from memory, from 50, 60 years ago. The biggest, I guess, conflict that we ever had that Dr. Watson couldn't handle and had to take it to Dr. Adams was that on Thursday afternoon, whether the football team or Johnny Long and the band got to use the stadium. That was the biggest conflict, as I recall. And Dr. Adams had to say, hey, and he set the times down. You know, the band could use it from 1 to 3, and we could have it from 3 to 5. That's the way it worked.
And I'll tell you this, and I don't know if I think, I mean, nobody loves Dr. Johnny Long like I do, but when they brought in Johnny Long, Johnny Long by way through the governor of the state of Alabama, had a lot to do with it and all that. Then they bring in Billy Atkins. You're bringing in 2 Supermans, one in band and one in football. And I think they had mutual respect for each other, because that marching band was brought in a lot of folks to Troy.
Well, he did. I mean, that was
and pageantry. I mean, didn't you feel good that Troy had a great band like that y'all could perform in front of?
Yeah, we knew part of the people that came to watch the ball game. A lot of them came to see the band. We knew that.
You know, Ferguson's one of your good friends. He used to carry one of those flags. He would remember that drill team. Do you remember that?
Absolutely right, Mike. That I think. See, that was, and we talked about this so many times. That was when Troy, right then, when Dr. Adams got a hold of it, started bringing in that caliber of people. That was when the program changed.
And then, if you'll think, Montgomery started pouring people to Troy. I mean, Lanier and Lee both just started sending hundreds of kids. Now, like somebody just said just a while ago on our show, it was a suitcase college, and I would agree. But Max, the ones that stayed at home had a lot of fun, didn't they?
They really did. That was that was a happening place. It was. And now looking back, that was the beginning. That was the start. And people just kind of went in different directions, but eventually it all came back together.
Yeah.
And it really
and Max, remember this: how many times did you go to the dorm and you say, "Who's here? Who's here?" Yeah. Hey, you wanted to know who was home, stayed home for the weekend that I could ask out or could come to a party. You'd walk in there and you say, "Ma'am," the head lady would be coming out to you, and you remember how strict it was. She said, "You say, hey, I just want to know who is here."
That's very true. No, Mike, you're absolutely right. And I mean, that was the day that they had strict rules about who could come out of the dorm, but that loosened up through the years.
And I look at some of these ladies that came through here, boy, oh boy. One of them was Lenora Driggers Hancock. I don't know if you remember her, but boy, what a beautiful girl she was. And there were just so many. Gaynette Messer, I remember her pretty well. And of course, Burton Green married a girl that graduated here at Troy. Ken Cox married Peggy, and the rest is history. So many people met their wives right here in Troy, and a lot of them might have done it on the weekends when they came out,
I think what's amazing, Mike, I stay in touch with some of those guys. Most of them are still married.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a surprise to them.
That's right.
Like me, that had to work all our life.
That's right. No question about it. And it was a great group of people, and a lot of those people ended up settling right here in Troy and to make our community. And, hey, it's a proud university. Now, let me ask you this now, Max. And, of course, you are an athlete, and this is the big difference, ladies and gentlemen. This is the huge difference in college football today. More than anything, Max, is the food. Ladies and gentlemen, you can go to the cafeteria here at Troy, and it is a magnificent place. And you can eat until you bust if you want to. Yeah. Back when you and I were there, Max, we'd walk through that line, and if they gave us an extra roll, you thought they had done something.
Absolutely right.
They would, and you had to, and I'm sure now you had a guy you were working on that gave you big helpings, but some of them, these down, some of them were by the book and just give you a little here, a little there, and whatever. You remember that?
Very true.
And if they gave you an extra container of chocolate milk, you'd be lucky.
That's right. And we supplemented that with the egg sandwich over time.
That's right. Buy the egg sandwich in the morning. And you know what, Max? You ask anybody that's been to Troy, and if he can't say that he remembers the egg sandwiches at the student center. He probably didn't go. He probably just talked.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that was a center of all the things that were going on campus. You want to know where anything was, and when you went to the student union.
Yeah. Now Max is a lot older than me. But Max, boy, that Mr. Rowland's hamburger shack over there looked pretty darn good in the afternoon, didn't it?
It did, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know how good that hamburger was, but boy, it sure was good to know you had another place you could get something to eat.
Yeah, that's the truth. Of course,
that was called the Hut. The Hut. You remember that?
That's true. Look, Mike. See, a lot of the young people today, they have no clue. No. They see what Troy is today. That they weren't there when it was 2,500 students.
That's right. Oh yeah.
Instead of 9,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a different day and a different era.
Yeah.
But that's why I love to come on your show and talk about those days, because I don't get that many other places, Mike.
Well, I tell you, and of course you were in the weight room, and a few of y'all were in the weight room. Weights back then was not a big deal. But wouldn't you agree, Max, the biggest difference has got to be food now, where it's just unlimited supply of food. If you can't gain weight at Troy University, you can't gain weight anywhere, wouldn't you say?
That's true, and it has to be monitored now, Mike. I mean, because of the nutrition programs.
Yeah, oh yeah. They have a guy checking them off, making sure they eat breakfast. They want to make sure they eat breakfast.
Right.
And then they'll have another guy checking them off for lunch. They make sure they eat 3 meals. Well, another thing, too, they want to also make sure that they get their money's worth from these guys. If they go buy food, they want them to come eat. Don't you agree?
That's very true. Absolutely. They know they've got to compete at a high level there. I mean, look, just think about it. They got Old Buffalo boys here. They got to go to Nebraska. I mean, look, that program is way above anything that we ever thought about. When we were there.
No question about it.
I feel very comfortable, though, and the fact is that I was fortunate enough to be part of the groundwork that was laid in the foundation to start that program.
No question.
Today.
And of course, back then, now, we later on went Division 1A because of so many, there's a few people that would not leave it alone. And I think the chancellor is really grateful to those people, because look what it's done for us. Max, it's a big difference in 1AA and Division 1A like we are.
Yes,
we left the Jacksonville States, even though Jacksonville's got a good program, they can recruit so much easier in that program. And I looked at their schedule the other day. Boy, we go undefeated every year we play that bunch.
See,
you know what I mean?
That all comes from leadership, Mike. And in the location they're in, I don't know. It's just some very conservative leadership that don't want to move that program up, because they've got everything else going for them.
Oh yeah.
A very high populated area. They can draw from Birmingham and Atlanta.
Right.
There's so many things they can draw from.
That's right.
It's not had the benefit of doing it, but Troy's been able to make it. Just from.
I never was for anybody changing Troy's name, but there were people out there that wanted to. They needed it Central Alabama or South or Alabama Southern or something like that. That was, and I was clinging to keeping Troy where it is today. But no school anywhere in the country to me could benefit more by changing their name than Jacksonville State. Now, this sounds funny, but they could easily be East Alabama University, like Eastern Carolina University. They could be Eastern Alabama University. Well, that might sound crazy, but at least people would know where you're at, where you're from.
Well, that's very true. But you know what? You go back and look. Troy maintained their name, just like Auburn,
that's right.
Just like Clemson.
Exactly.
It's something to be said for that.
You're exactly right.
That's where the tradition is. That's where they're noted. Have been noted for all these years. Want to make that big change.
But I just hate it nationally. When they see Jacksonville, they think Jacksonville, Florida.
Florida, absolutely true.
Of course, they've got the great marching band too, just like we do. They and the two marching bands are probably the best two in the country. By the way, I was by the band department this week. They're going to march over 400 this year. Can you believe that?
Wow.
But, that's 400 students that are going to your school. They're paying for themselves with just tuition. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Listen, I'm telling you, Mike, that's draw for the university. And I think you have to look at it from an outside. That's the part of the brand, that draws kids there. Everybody doesn't come for football. Everybody doesn't come for sports. A lot of them come for the other programs there. And Dr. Hawkins has been able to expand that, and put it, and put Troy on the map in more than just one area. Bill Brown does his, he makes his contribution with the football program.
You are exactly right. I make this motion. You can't see what I'm doing here, but you'll understand what I'm doing. Jacksonville and Troy are a lot alike in two ways. Thank you, Scott. Scott brings me in a good hot cup of coffee. Scott is from the would you say the hills of? He's from Oregon, and you know who his hero was, don't you, Max? He's from Oregon. Who you think his hero was? Prefontaine, the miler.
Oh, okay.
Of course, they're getting to be pretty good in football now, too. But what I was going to say, Max, how major colleges probably don't look at it like this as much. Maybe some do. But Troy is a music program, pretty much. It's not just a band. Like at Auburn, it's a band. It's not necessarily a music program. But what Troy does, they graduate a lot of music majors that later on become band directors and whatever. Yeah. But I'm holding my hand up when it comes to the Alabama band or the Auburn band. Here's the football team here compared to the football team and what it's worth to the university. And then down here is the band. Well, the same way for Alabama and Auburn, the bands are sort of in the background. Well, at Troy, as far as how serious they are about band and football, the football's here and the band's here, right next to them. Wouldn't you say the band was about as important as the football team at Troy?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about it, Mike.
And Jacksonville State the same way.
Yeah, that started back in the 60s.
That's right.
That's been there for a long
And I like them making that important, and of course that's why we're great,
Yeah, that's just part of the offerings that Troy's been able to create through the years. And you've got to go back to the administration, and you can't say enough about the support that the top administration. I don't care how good a program could be, if you don't have that support internally from the administration, Mike, it's not going to happen.
No question about it. And
always had that.
Yeah.
And I know there are many, many people out there that certainly can appreciate it.
He's been here now talking about Jack Hawkins. I got a picture of him sitting right in front of me. You're talking about a class act and a class. You could you take that guy right there and run with him and build a university? Well, he has proven that. He could have been governor. He could have done anything he wanted to, but he loves Troy University, and he has done so many things to enhance its growth. And of course, what I like is he's still got that competitive way about him. He wants to be the best. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't just sit back and relax and say, well, you do this and you do that. He still has great vision, and this place is going to be. I know telling us what this place is going to be like. Hey, 10,000 would not surprise me at all in the next couple of years. Doesn't that sound crazy, Max?
No, but see, he's a guy that can find resources to get that done.
Exactly.
And I think that there lies his real secret. Is that once there's an idea that's brought to the forefront and everybody's on board with it, he'll go out and find the money and the resources to get it done.
I tell you what, it's one of the very few schools that when they get on the plane to go to a big game, most of the board of trustees is on that plane. I mean, that's how much they care about the football program and the programs here at Troy. He's a great leader, but he's got a great board of trustees that believe the same way he believes. And as long as we've got that here at Troy, no telling how much we could grow.
Mike, see, that's that support staff that that really support him. I know they're in full command, but he's the vocal point. He's the lead dog out there.
Oh, no question about it.
Things happen, and they're all on the same page.
And he dresses like a president of the United States. He dresses sharp. He carries himself sharp. You look, when they do build a building, it is good looking building. The grounds are immaculate. I'm just proud as I can be to be a Troy Trojan. I really am.
Mike, I think that's never more evident. Everybody that, and I read all your posts from time to time and all the things, and you've got a great following there, but you've dedicated your life to that, too.
Well,
I think
I don't know. Are you talking about me or him? I don't know what you're talking about, but I do appreciate that compliment.
I just made the comment about so very proud to be there, but there's a lot of people who are proud that you are there. And you're a voice for them, Mike. Yeah. I'm just telling you. I'm out there. I'm on the road every day.
Well, I need to hook you into some other people so they can hear that.
Well, I can do it. That's what I do.
Well, it doesn't take long to know I'm a Troy guy, and I'm proud. And Max, of course, you've been out and you walk in the circles of the SEC and major college football. You're well known and well received. But the more you see about Troy, I know, and this happened during spring game and everything. You were on the phone. I knew that you would be on the phone with 2 or 3 big major football or talk shows, and sure enough, you got on there and praised Troy University out to those guys. Now everybody knows about it.
Well, I just think, and I told you this when you and I first started, for me to come back on your show, is that I spent 30 years trying to build a career. And I know what mine is at the end. I understand that. And Mike, I'm to the point now where I'm ready to give back. Anything that I've been fortunate enough to accumulate through the years, I want to be sure there is a way I can give it back to, wherever it might help. And that's what I've done. I've not only done it with Troy, but I've gone back to my high school, and I'm doing everything. They got a new staff there, and I'm doing everything I can to help promote that program as well.
Well, let me just say this, and if you would, now I'm not saying all these coaching staffs could be like this, but if I would have loved to have been there to see how many people wanted to hug your neck, because there were a lot of folks that you helped develop. And if you think about it, when y'all came in here and started winning football and started giving these guys a reason to play hard and so forth, you not only enhanced their football career, but you enhanced their life, the way they would their work ethic would be as business people one day.
Mike, I remember vividly when we started putting that program together down there in the 60s. Everybody said, all you guys are doing is bringing in a bunch of outlaws, a bunch of no-names, and they won't ever amount to anything.
Yeah.
Go back and look. I'm sitting here in my den looking at that picture of the national championship team right now. And the ones that are still out there and still working, almost every one of them became a huge success in their life.
No question about it.
And it was, and I got, I think it's, and I'm told that by many of them along the way that, hey, it was the groundwork that was laid there. Discipline. Don't accept anything but the best. We went right through the things it takes to build character and build a successful program. We hope that transferred into their personal life.
I
looked at the Hall of Fame list the other day. I think there's 36 members in the Hall of Fame. I was fortunate enough to coach 5 of those guys.
Yeah, that's right.
There's
that's right.
1 football players and 1 golfer in there.
That's right.
And I love that. That's a huge honor.
Yeah, no question about it, Max.
Really.
No question about it. And let me just say this. They might have called those guys that y'all were recruiting outlaws, but I'll tell you this. Once they got here, they weren't outlaws. They were scared to death of their head football coach. I mean, let me tell you something. There's never been a more dominating figure as a head coach anywhere. I mean, he did not. I mean, all these big burly guys that's supposed to be bad guys to deal with. Shoot, y'all had them eating out of your hands.
Yeah. Well, it was the program. I think it was what was offered, and everybody quickly realized that, hey, this thing, what we're trying to teach there now is a system that nobody else has got. And that, and I don't know how many public speeches I've made in my life, but I can always point to that one thing. We had some great athletes, don't we? But let me tell you, Billy Atkins brought the system.
Oh, yeah, no question about it.
To everybody else we played, we would do things that they're doing today in the 60s, and we've had people call timeouts telling us it was illegal to do.
Yeah. I don't know if Al Head was there or not, but you think about Al Head coming out of high school. He was Auburn's last choice. They took another kid over him right at the last, and he came to Troy. Hey, he could have played at any level in college. Don't you agree? He was a great player.
We'd have won the championship the next year had he not tore his knee up.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, you won. Hey, you only lost one game the next year, I think, until he...
that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if Al hadn't got hurt, and then after that we kind of had to piece together some, things, we'd have won the championship back-to-back.
That's right.
In 68 and 69.
I think you were 8-1-1, something like that, 8-1-1. Right. A lot of people thought this was as good or better team that Troy had.
Yeah.
Especially on the defensive side.
It was more balanced than it was on the defensive side. Yeah. Of course, we remember Billy brought in Pete Jenkins to coach the defense.
That's right. Boy, just look at some of the guys he did bring in. He brought in the great nose guard in Alabama history, not McClendon, but who was that he brought in that coached the defense? He also became the head of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. What was his name?
Man, see, you challenge him.
I know. Well, I know it. I probably did.
Memory now.
But I mean, he brought in some very good coaches, and I think their careers were enhanced after that.
Well, you go back and look, and I think as I look back at it, it's almost unbelievable how we got done what we got done with 3 coaches on the staff. At that particular time, and then of course we had a couple of student coaches, Andy White. Do you remember that?
Well, in fact, I heard from when they I came out with my picture on my Facebook. I have had a lot of people commenting. Andy was one of them. He lives out in Texas, but y'all, he was coaching, walked in and was in his office coaching, and then y'all walked in and said you're going to put on the gear or something, didn't you?
That's right. Well, we were getting ready. Our interest had taken toll toward the end of the year, and we had to have a scout team guy.
Yeah.
So Billy put him back in pass. I had a chance to visit with him in the spring.
Of course, you also lost Jeff Cotton, who was a great player. He had some personal things he had to do. It was a shame that he did because he was a great player. We could have never got there without Jeff Cotton. Don't you agree?
No, Jeff gave us the balance.
Yeah, boy, he could run.
And, of course, as long as we had Sam and Danny and Bobby and Vince Green and that bunch, we knew we could throw it. And certainly, that's where we made our
But Cecil Barber, now, I want to thank Cecil. Of course, he was young, but wasn't he a great kid? Golly, Cecil Barber.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was outstanding in that championship game, too, if you remember.
Yeah, Mike, see, here's people, we threw so much. The championship year we threw 384 times. I'm just doing it from memory now. We threw it. We were averaging 25, 30 passing the ball. Well, nobody at that level was, and nobody else around the country hardly was throwing the football. So what that did is that cut it down to a 4-man rush, and everybody else was trying to drop. So that opened up the running game for us, and that's what Billy knew.
Yeah.
So, we started off there. I made the comment. I started this with Bobby Monk the other day. We were talking about that. Every game we open up with the same run. And now if I was coaching them again, we put in some different wrinkles off of that, some bootlegs and that kind of stuff. But everybody knew what we was going to do, but they couldn't stop it.
Well, and another thing, too, that you got to hand it to was your offensive line. And it wasn't a big offensive line, but, boy, when they pull out in front of those on that 36-man ed or whatever it was, y'all ran all the time. Y'all pulled both guards, and those guards were so fast that they'd be out in front of everybody.
Bobby Floyd and Hugh Cole.
And Hugh Cole. And both, all of them probably didn't weigh 200 pounds, maybe 210 at the most, wouldn't you think?
205 to 210, that's right. George Hires was one tackle.
And Hires was a bigger kid. He was a big kid.
About 235. He came out. We got him from Florida.
And then our guy at Alex City, who's the banker now.
Fran Collins played.
Fran Collins came from Alabama, transferred from Alabama from Geneva. Your friend's dead now. Did you know that?
I knew that.
Of course, T.J. Morris also was from Geneva, and that's the most. Let's look at this a second. You had Bill Russell from Hartford. You had Fran Collins and T.J. Morris from Geneva.
Yep.
You had Danny Grant from Ozark.
Right.
You just keep going to Bobby Endlin and Tim Bird, all from Montgomery, of course.
Montgomery.
gosh, you keep moving on.
With J.A. Williams.
Yeah, J.A. Williams from
Gordo.
And from Port. What was it? He was from J.A. was from Millport.
Millport. That's
yeah.
where he was from.
That's right. Frank Elmore from Gordo.
Gordo.
I mean, look at these small towns. Most of them came out of small towns.
How about Ronnie Shelley?
Yeah, Ronnie Shelley out of Headland. and what a great play he was. In fact, let me ask you this point blank, and I've never asked you this. Ronnie Shelley might have been the best pure athlete on our team, wouldn't you say?
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
And he could have played in the pros. I mean, he was that good, I thought. Didn't you think?
He got hurt. He went to Baltimore and got hurt in preseason. You know how he was? He used to get on him all the time about punts. You know, he would wait right to the last minute and grab.
Oh yeah.
And he tried that when he went to the NFL, and somebody hit him in the mouth, broke his jaw about 3 times.
Ladies and gentlemen, find a comparison of this anywhere you want to go. He intercepted 17 passes in 1968. He intercepted 17 passes that season.
See, he had one of those instinctive attitudes about him, Mike, that you couldn't coach. You could give him an assignment, but he was a ball hawk, man. He could find, once the ball was in the air, he'd go straight to it. And he had enough speed and quickness, to beat most people that played at our level.
And he was...
Those were the kind of things that made our program so successful.
That's right. Then you later on got a guy from South Georgia named Jack Smith who was just loaded with talent.
We got him out of Memphis, I believe.
Boy, yeah, he was and of course you got Larry Gross out of Memphis, and he was a defensive player for you, and boy, you could just keep going on and on and on. Loggins came out of Dothan. Danny Moore came out of Dothan. All right, they saved 8 players. I want you to hear this. There were 8 players that played the next year, and I was one of them that was told to find somewhere else. I could have walked on, and a lot of y'all offered people the opportunity to walk on if they wanted to. But when they did come in after the spring, I think 8 players. One of them was Dwight Falk. He could have played at any level. Don't you agree?
Anywhere, no doubt.
I mean, he could have played at Alabama, Michigan State, UCLA. He could have, and he was from Hornorville, Alabama.
That's exactly right, Hornorville. That's exactly right. That's outskirts, isn't it? Outskirts of Fort Defiance.
Yeah, oh yeah. I would know outskirts of Lou Vernon and Highland Home. But I mean, how good was he? He just old country boy.
He was 6'1", about 250, 240.
Oh yeah.
He had great feet. He could run. He could really run.
And then, of course, they had some good players at the nucleus. I remember that first year was 5-5. I want to say y'all went 5-5.
That's right.
But a lot of those games y'all should have won. You actually were better than that other team. You could have very easily been 8-3 or 7-3 easily.
That's true. See, part of the thing, Mike, that we had to change on the attitude was how to win.
Yeah.
We had to just insist that you couldn't make mistakes. You make a mistake, you got to repeat it, and you got to repeat the play once again. We did that in practice hundreds of times, and finally, finally the light came on. We won a couple of big ones early in '66 and '67, and then the confidence level grew.
Exactly right.
By the time the '68 team got there, they knew nobody could beat us. Now we got bumped when we went up to Austin Peay. We had an awful
nowhere in the world they should have played like that against y'all.
It poured down rain. It cut our passing game down a little bit. And Austin Peay brought in about 5 guys from U. I won't ever forget that. That all played there, and our kids weren't prepared for that because it was again we knew that we had a good football team, but we didn't expect anybody else to come in and challenge us physically, and that's what happened to us on that.
And I'll tell you this.
20 points. But after that, it was all downhill for us.
I tell you what, those Louisiana schools, y'all had to play Northeast, Northwest. Both of them, those Louisiana teams now, they're under another name now. Most of them are, but they were great. Right. And then McNeese, how good was McNeese? And maybe the greatest game y'all ever played. Now, y'all played some great games, but when y'all beat McNeese 52-0, it's about like beating Auburn 52-0.
Exactly right.
I mean, how good was McNeese? I mean, they were really good.
They were, but they never seen anything like it. I'm going to take us back. That was in 60. I'm going to take us back in '67 when we go out to Northwestern Louisiana. That was the team that we beat.
Oh yeah.
That turned the pro.
Nacogdoches, I think, Louisiana.
They were number one in the nation. They had about 5 or 6 NFL players. And I'll tell you this quickly, and I may have told you the story before. Part of my job was everything, because I was the offensive, basically I ran the offense for Billy. I would always go to the opposing coach and see them and Danny and Bobby them. They left to catch the plain ball. They didn't want the stripes on it.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter we were playing night or day. This was their homecoming game. So I go up to the coaching staff. We get there, and I said, Coach, I'm having ball. I said, we'll change every change of series. Our guy will bring a new ball in. He said, I said, this is what our kids like to play with. He looked at me, sitting in there, big old guy, had a big old chew to the back. He said, son, I remember I was 25 years old.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And son, we don't care if y'all play with a Nerf ball. I took that back to the dressing room, and our bunch crazy. We had them 25 to nothing at halftime.
Oh yeah.
They ain't never seen anything like that.
But even
it was a huge win for us.
But if I went ahead and listed the small towns that came from, how about Casada, Alabama? That quarterback, the quarterback that just from Casada that was so good, little town outside of Wetumpka.
Mike, you bring that. Let me just tell you, I had this same visit with Neil Brown not long ago. I think during spring, and I talked to him about recruiting. And I said, oh, he said that's the kind of kids he goes after now. He said there are so many kids in small towns that get overlooked. He said that's what we do. We love to go out there and get a kid from a small town that's got some talent, bring him in and redshirt him, and then put him in the program.
You got a kid out of Sampson, a great linebacker out of Sampson that and I'm trying to. He's on the tip of my finger, my tongue, but was also one of the good players. They came out of these small towns, out of Opp. There were players that came out of there. It was amazing.
And South Alabama was full of those, and Alabama and Auburn was not looking for that.
And they loved football. Those guys did.
Yeah, and we knew that we could put them in that same environment, hopefully to elevate them a little bit, coach them up a little, and get a lot of get success for them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's what happened. And that's exactly where the program was built.
And of course that was and y'all knew how to judge talent. And hey, how good was Bill Russell? Was he about as good as? Could he have played at any level?
He could have.
Was he maybe perhaps one of the meanest players you ever coached?
Yeah.
How about him?
Mike, he fit what we looked for, and he felt comfortable at Troy.
He would intimidate folks, wouldn't he?
He was. I mean, he was a big old raw bone guy and I'm sure he could have gone a lot of other places, but for whatever reason, he was able to come to Troy and make that adjustment.
And then you got a former Eufaula quarterback that was unhappy at Auburn. He was playing center at Auburn. They moved him to center. When he came to Auburn, of course, George Little came out of Eufaula.
Yeah.
And, hey, how good a linebacker was George Little?
He was about as good as anybody.
Anybody anywhere. What I'm saying is these players could have played, Larry Gross could have played anywhere. I mean, it's just so many of these players that could have actually, and we had them right here in Troy. And another thing too, Max, the stadium didn't hold but about 9, maybe 10,000 at the time, but almost every weekend it was full.
Yep, that was a turning point, Mike. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That was and people were coming for the program, and they were coming to see the band. We don't take any, nothing away from that.
And I'll tell you something else too, Max, and I'll let you go. Billy knew how to act too. Now, when Billy never left, ladies and gentlemen, he never left the locker room unless he had a coat and tie on. You know that about him? You remember that?
Absolutely.
I mean, just to go home, he would put a coat and tie on. I mean, he was a class act. Don't you agree?
See, that NFL did that for him.
That's right.
Remember, he came out of Millport, went to Auburn, was an All-American dad.
That's right, and was a country boy. Now, Millport is a country town.
And he still is, Mike.
And he brought J.A. Williams with him, and that helped a lot, too.
That's right. Very true.
Very true. Boy, we could talk on and on. I hope this conversation is enlightening to a lot of you. the way Troy was built, and that's pretty much the way we've been talking today.
Exactly right.
It's been a lot of fun.
Mike. And that's the thing. I told you this before. I don't want that to ever be forgotten.
I don't think it will, especially as long as you and I live. All right, of course, everybody are disgusted because I haven't talked about food yet. What are you going to cook this week?
Man, I'm going to tell you what. I got a group I'm cooking for Saturday night. I've already been told we're going to do fillets on the grill. I'm going to do it down at the Big Fish Camp on the river. We'll have about 12, 15, I guess, down there. And I've got a big grill. And when I go down there, I cook on charcoal.
Yeah.
I go to some of these other places, they got gas and all, but this is all charcoal.
Do you marinate your meat, or
Man, let me tell you, I do. Mine's very basic, Mike. Worcestershire, black pepper, and garlic.
That sounds good to me.
And I don't ever put a steak on the grill except at room temperature.
Yeah.
I'll let it sit out on the cabinet somewhere in the marinade for about. And I base mine with the marinade. And I get a hot fire and I flip it about every 3 or 4 minutes.
So if they want it rare or medium rare or
I don't cook it anymore there.
That's right. Hey, you just tell them go somewhere else. Is that right?
That's right.
You're right. I agree with you. Of course, Max Howell, ladies and gentlemen, very well known. Max, guess what? The magazines are out. The magazines are out. I've got Lindy's right here.
Oh, I got mine. I promise you.
I got Lindy's right here, and Lindy's has got Clemson first, Alabama second, Ohio State third, then comes Georgia, then comes Wisconsin, then comes Oklahoma, then Miami, then Washington, and then Auburn. Well, those are 9 pretty good teams.
Well, Lynn is one of my best friends, and I talk to Lynn all during the year that puts that magazine out for Lindy Davis. And I love the way they go about it. Lynn is an Auburn graduate, and Lindy Davis is an Alabama graduate.
That's good, isn't it?
Back and forth on where they're going to rank those teams.
Well, I'll tell you this. They got Troy ranked up there high, too, so they like Troy in the Sun Belt.
They really do. And I think a lot's going to depend on that opening ball game. And I got a feeling I think Troy's going to do very well. When you got to bring a team, Mike, 3,000 miles across the country to play, it takes something out of them. I don't care how good they are.
Troy is going to be inexperienced at running back, inexperienced at quarterback. That's what we got to do. We got to overcome that.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Max. We'll see you again next week. Thank you for calling.
All right, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed our show, ladies and gentlemen. We ran a little bit over today, but we appreciate Scott and all the great folks. Have a great day. We got a big cake auction tomorrow. Big cake auction tomorrow right here on this show. Hope you'll enjoy it.